1 week after the flooding disaster caused by Hurricane Helene, at least 223 people are now reported dead, with many still missing. Sam Brock is in North Carolina with the latest tonight.
In the early morning hours, helicopters are already hovering over homes and private shoppers whisking away supplies to the mountains. The sounds of a frantic search for survivors a week after Helene made landfall.
Surreal.
Apocalyptic.
Surreal, yeah, it's like constantly, and the sirens back and forth.
Official fatalities standing at more than 220 for 6 states, and in battered Buncombe County alone, more than 70. But there's significant discrepancies over the hundreds missing figure, which officials couched last night.
That's a communication gap that's not necessarily being unaccounted for.
Communication in multiple ways. For one, cell service is compromised.
Trying to communicate with my coworker was really hard.
And families are going through the
Yes.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for another, this church group packing supplies is full of members who aren't fluent in English. They say they're relying on their own text network and door-knocking systems apart from the county.
You have your method of confirmation. Yeah. They have theirs.
Yeah.
And there isn't a full necessarily overlap.
There's not only by news.
As the real number of missing remains anyone's guess. Jameson Tebelan, a church leader, hands out supplies today to those who need them the most.
Here, we're not looking race, color, gender at all, religion, nothing. We're all in this together.
You're just trying to help people in need.
We're just trying to help people in need, exactly.
The other reality coming to light that the vast majority of businesses and homeowners here, like Jody and Steve Dunning, have no flood insurance. There wasn't a reason to think in this framework.
There's no reason for the mountains to have floods.
Yeah.
We've never had this before.
A new dimension of a flood catastrophe. County officials say the river should be treated as hazardous materials. They're warning residents with no running water not to bathe in toxic river water. Lester?
Okay, Sam Brock, thank you. And the federal response to this storm disaster is becoming an issue in the presidential campaign, with a new claim by former President Trump facing strong pushback from the White House. Garrett Haake has more.
Tonight, former President Trump back in the storm zone in must-win Georgia, alongside Republican Governor Brian Kemp, a sometimes Trump critic now backing the former president.
I'm not thinking about voters right now. I'm thinking about lives. A lot of lives lost, a lot of people missing.
Trump also facing new criticism for this false attack on the administration's hurricane response.
The Harris-Biden administration says they don't have any money. They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank, so they could give it to their illegal immigrants.
The White House slamming that as a lie.
It's just categorically false. It is not true. It is a false statement.
In the last 2 years, FEMA has distributed over $1 billion in taxpayer money to shelter the record numbers of migrants in cities across the U.S. But the White House and FEMA say that's from a separate government program, not for disaster relief, and there's no evidence funds have been diverted.
Hey, folks.
Today, President Biden praising Vice President Harris's role handling crises this week, including the storm response and the now resolved port strike.
I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She was a major player in everything we've done.
It comes as tonight Harris campaigns in a must-win state of her own, Michigan, hoping to shore up support from organized labor after yesterday's decision by the International Association of Firefighters not to back a presidential candidate this year. Harris has the endorsement of virtually every large union, and today went after Trump.
Donald Trump's track record is a disaster for working people. He is an existential threat to America's labor movement. Just look at his track record to know.
While President Biden raising concerns about Trump's reaction if he loses.
I'm confident it'll be free and fair. I don't know whether it'll be peaceful.
And Garrett, Vice President Harris will be getting some high-profile help next week. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. And a sign of how near we are to the end of this race and how tight it's expected to be, the Harris campaign is bringing in someone they hope can be a closer. Former President Barack Obama expected to crisscross the country on Harris's behalf, beginning with a rally in Pittsburgh next week. Lester?
Okay, Garrett Haake, thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.